Marie with this week's Rebels Report, and we just quickly have a look at the last weekend games, and I want to get more into two of them specifically. But let's start off with Hurricanes versus Gold Diggers. Well, Gold Diggers won 72-0, and then it was above that Razorbacks was Swans winning 62-7. But the games I really want to get into, and I want to talk a little bit also with our special guest, Johan, coach from Hello Rebels,
Sure.
is your game.
Okay.
It's a homecoming game. And yeah, I can say, like, to start with, congratulations.
Thank you.
It was really, really good sport you saw there that day. How did you perceive 89ers that day?
They came out playing extremely well, better than they had done the week before against the Golders. They had a couple of surprises with them. A couple of guys that were in the States that are playing junior college at Palmetto or something.
Yeah, exactly. I was just about to ask, do you think that also made the twist eventually? That was sort of like because those two guys being here on vacation, playing for the old team, that's sort of like
like recharged them or something?
Recharged them, sort of like gave them a new spirit, a new motivation.
Sure, I think it did help them. I think it was something that added a little excitement for them to try to do something. And those guys were really good players for them last year. And they showed again this year that, why they're in the States playing it in college out there. So, I wish them the best of luck over there. And they should do a pretty good job. Their receiver, Frederick, he scored 2 touchdowns on us, so he instantly was an impact for them and helped out in the 89ers' cause of trying to win a game. And it was really competitive. And Miko, their safety, who, by the way, if you look at him now from when he went to the States, he's just gotten bigger. He's just, he looks like a monster. I mean, he played really well, and he was a solid force for them on the defense, trying to stop some of the stuff that we were trying to do. He was pretty effective. So those guys were really a good shot in the arm for them, and they were really motivated by what they could do, and you could see it on the field. So.
Definitely, I just remember like how the Rebels getting really nervous.
Sure.
As soon as I heard those two would be there on the field.
Yeah, it was. They weren't part of the game plan that we had, which happens. And those things that you have to kind of adjust to it. But as soon as we saw them on the field, we knew that they were going to be adjusting to different things, and they would come out with other stuff. It also said that this was a team that they felt that they could get back on the track and rebound for themselves and build on what they're struggling this year as a team of a rebuilding year for them. They had a great attitude and great spirit throughout the game. As you were there yourself, you saw those guys were competitive, but at the end of the game, they know where they're at right now, and they know that they're rebuilding. But they really gave it their all to try to be successful. And they were, gracious on both sides of doing everything that they could, even though that they were competitive to compete to win. So.
Let's get over to our team, Hello Rebels.
Okay.
We made 466 yards today, right?
Yeah.
And I would just name 1, 2, 3 guys really pulling it off.
Sure.
We have Fear Rush, the guy we interviewed afterwards as well. We got Morton, and we got Fossball.
Right.
Really going for it. Do you want
to talk about that?
Yeah, explain a little bit more about it.
Morton,
what actually happened?
Yeah, Morton is getting into the rhythm of kind of his sophomore year of being on the NL. So it's his second year, and he's really starting to get into a rhythm and trying to push himself as one of the top quarterbacks in the league, and he's really doing the work that he needs to. It was evident that he completed over 50% of his passes and had over 200 yards in the game and a couple touchdowns, no picks. Any day you do that, that's pretty good. Fear, what can you say about Fear? I mean, Fear, when he was with the Razorbacks, he's made plays, and he's doing the same thing here for us. We're fortunate to have him, and he's a threat. He's one of those guys you want on the field to make a play. He's going to do something. You don't know what, but he's going to do something. So those guys are big people, and Philip Freese, he had a great day. Anderson, he probably had his best day of the season so far. 7 touchdowns and 7 receptions with 2 touchdowns on the year and in the game, and he had one that was an incredible, unfortunate thing for the 89ers with the tip ball that he happened to catch, but it was just, it was a crazy thing for him, and he was right there. So he had a good game himself. Yeah. So.
And what else is there to say? Jeg står nu her med coach fra 89ers, Thomas Asbjørn Thomsen. Hej med dig. Ja, nu gik det jo desværre sådan, at I tabte til sidst. Men jeg synes altså, jeg må give jer, der var en rigtig god team spirit. I gav slet ikke op overhovedet. Altså, I gav den virkelig fuld gas. Hvordan synes du selv, spillet er gået?
Jo, men jeg synes, du har ret i, at vi ikke gav op, og det er også noget, vi har arbejdet på, at fordi vi har et svært år, hvor vi mangler mange spillere, så lige meget, hvor galt det går i kampen, så har vi ligesom lovet hinanden, inden sæsonen gik i gang, at vi vil holde sammen som hold. Og det er jeg selvfølgelig glad for, at det sker. Jeg synes, spillemæssigt er man selvfølgelig ikke tilfreds, når man taber med dobbelt så mange point som de andre. Men hvorimod vi sådan i andre kampe sådan er blevet decideret spillet ved banen, så synes jeg mere i dag, at det er fordi, at vi laver nogle fejl selv, som Herlev var rigtig dygtig til at straffe, og det skal de også have ros for. Men jeg synes, i det store hele, så er det vores egen dumheder, der gør, at Herlev får lov til at lave nogle gode spil, og al respekt for, de så laver gode spil, når de får mulighed.
Vi har jo 2 amerikanske spillere med ude på banen her i dag. Kan det passe?
Nej, de er ikke just amerikanske. De er to af vores ungdomsspillere, som har været i vores ungdomsprogram hele deres liv på nær. De har begge to faktisk været på high school og spillet også.
Ja.
Men det er 2 danske spillere, som vi har udklikket op i Nordjylland, og det er utroligt stolt af, at vi har kunnet sætte dem på college, hvor de går over nu. Og de havde lige 2 ugers sommerferie i Danmark og spurgte, om de måtte få lov at være med. Og de har fået lov at være med under de præmisser, at de skulle ikke komme ind og tage snaps fra folk, der havde været til træning og sådan noget. Mm-hmm. Og de skulle være til alle træninger, de skulle gå forrest uden at fylde for meget, og det har de gjort til perfektion.
Jeg står her nu med Frederik Nielsen, receiver for 89ers, som er faktisk på sommerferie lige nu som sådan, og får give lov til at spille for hans gamle hold. Han er egentlig over i USA. Hvor er det, du spiller lige pt. i USA?
Jeg spiller på et college, der hedder Palmer.
Ja. Og jeg har allerede hørt fra coachen, at det går rigtig godt. Altså, I får...
Ja, det går rigtig godt. Nu skal vi tage i gang med vores sommertræning her, og det bliver da rigtig godt. Det kommer sommeren til at gå, men indtil videre springball og så videre, det går rigtig godt.
Ja.
Så det ser positivt ud over.
Ja, så hvordan er det at være herovre? Er der sådan noget helt andet, end vi har her i Danmark? Eller
ja,
hvordan,
det hele det går bare lidt hurtigere, og så er det det med, at folk de dedikerer deres tid til fodbold. Det er jo deres liv derovre, og det er rigtig fedt at være over og kunne opleve det. Og også spille med det, og så også få den bekræftelse, at man kan være med på det niveau, selvom at man kommer herfra fra lille Danmark.
Yeah.
Men det er sindssygt lækkert, også selvom man skal op halv 6 om morgenen til træning der og så videre. Det er sindssygt lækkert.
Ja. Jamen, kan I jo se, at det gør noget ved dig? Altså, det var jo dig, der løb de der 2 touchdowns i dag.
Ja.
Det var godt klar. Tillykke med det.
Ja, vi er jo ikke så langt i forløbet endnu, så der er masser af steder endnu. Der er masser af udvikling, der skal være. Men ja, det er rart at vide, at man rykker sig steder, og det går frem.
Yeah, let me hear from your side. How do you think it went today? How did you perceive the whole game?
Well, we started pretty good, but then we had a down period where we had a lead of about 12 points or something. All ball was coming back, but at the end we got a couple of big plays and we shut the game down in the 4th quarter.
Yeah.
So a win is a win.
A win is a win. That's true. But how do you see it? How do you see the team actually developing? I mean, like in the start of the season, you had like some mental outbreaks, and that is not really where you could give it 100%. Now you sort of seem to come back. Where do you see the team going?
I think the team is coming together. I think it takes time for a team to get together. We have a lot of new guys. People need to, know each other, and that's basically it. I think that mentally we have to grow, we have to be better. There's a lot of young guys on the team. People they don't have too much experience, and I think it's good with the more games we get. I think the more
you become one.
We become one unit, and I think it's getting better, and I'm glad.
I mean, that's also how we perceive it, so that's just good. Demons versus Stallions. I don't know if it was because like those teams have sort of the same understanding and are more or less on the same level at the moment. No, they're not.
No. Yeah. I think that the.
Well, it's just like it seemed like they sort of felt like more open and more motivated to be aggressive. The whole game seemed more intense than, for example, when the Stallions were facing Gold Diggers, where it's like a huge gap between those two teams, right? There it sort of was clear, and Stallions just tried to make those small wins and runs. It was something different going on here with the Demons.
Yeah, well, it's funny you say that. I said last week that this is a game that the Steins, depending on which Demon team shows up, they could pull this game out. They have a German guy that they just acquired the Steins, Tino Ular. And, he was bringing some stuff to them as a receiver DB guy. He's bringing more stuff to them offensively with the chance to do things, open things up for them. And it's evident by what they did in this game. They actually passed more than they normally do. They're more of a running style team, and they were actually passing the ball a lot more. And there were other people that were getting the benefits of it, but he definitely changed the complexion of the Steins, where they scored 37 points. They haven't scored 37 points all season. So that's a good example of his effect on them. With the Demons, maybe they struggled a little bit in the beginning and had a little problem with just getting that hangover against us a little bit, But they started cranking things up, but they also changed their complexion. That's a team that runs a triple option, and they still ran it, but they all of a sudden were passing the ball. You see on film that they were running an empty package. I've never seen them do that before. So they're trying to do some different things too. And Nexman, their quarterback, is throwing the ball downfield trying to get people. And Mickey Nielsen, he continues to be a force to reckon with. He's probably the best returner in the league. He had another kick return for a touchdown. I think that's his third on the year on some kind of special team. He's a guy you just don't want to kick to, because he's going to make something happen. And in this game, he scored 3 touchdowns, 1 rushing, 1 passing, and 1 on special teams. So he's a big weapon for them. And if he's doing well, you better be ready to watch out for something. So it's pretty crazy to watch that guy run around.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Well, in the end, the game turned out 42-37 for the Demons. Well, one of the games coming up is Tigers vs Demons, and obviously for us it would be really good. No, I'm actually not allowed to say that, but if Tigers would lose. But how do you? What are the chances for that? What is your odds? Like, how do you see that game?
Well, the Tigers are building on their confidence. They've had some success going into this season. They're the number 2 team in our conference, so they have they're going to go and play the Demons with the chance to try to solidify that spot, that number 2 spot for the playoffs. So they're going to come in all forces. Matthews will be a big part for them in what they do, both offensively and defensively when he's on the field. Glicksby will also be out there, and depending on what they're going to do with their running game, they're a run-oriented team that has the ability to pass. So those are the things that they're going to stick to, and they've been having success with. Defensively, they have a little bit of an issue with their D-line. I think they're kind of thin. And they've got some injuries that they got to deal with, and hopefully they'll get better on that and they'll be fine. And the secondary and the linebackers will have to step up and make the difference for them. So and shut down that triple option.
We also have Stein vs Hurricanes coming up, and I actually think it's going to be a really interesting game, because either it's going to be it's called the breakthrough of the Steins. That's the way I see it, and they're really going to hit it off and win that game and bring it back home. Or it's simply there where the Hurricanes, being a little bit long already in the league, just simply going to say, this is the time we're going to show what we're actually able to do, and no way we're going to step away from this position, sort of.
Sure.
Where do you see it going?
Yeah, I think you're right on both. The Steins are, they had people that are changing the formula of what they look like as a team, and they had success with it. So I would imagine that they're going to try to build on that formula that they had against the Demons and try to go one step further and try to, upset the Hurricanes. And the Hurricanes are probably the favorite team in that game, even though they're both, pretty competitive and close to each other, and they're familiar with each other when they were in the, first division before. So that should be a pretty competitive game. Jonas, who played great against Demons, with his 3 touchdowns and 8 catches in the game will help. I would imagine also with the German import guy for them will help the Stein's cause. But the Hurricanes' offense will be built around its running game, which will be complemented by its passing attack, and I would imagine that the Steins will actually be pushed a little bit by the Hurricanes runners. That would be one of the things I would look for in that game against the Steins. And we'll see what happens at the end of the game. But that should be a really interesting matchup between those two teams, fighting for one staying out of the relegation round of play, and the other one trying to build itself on last year's acceptance and bid into the National League.
Well, as you can see, a lot can be prospected, but nobody actually knows how it's going to turn out, and we're only going to know by watching these exciting games. So stay tuned, stay with us, and we see each other next week again.